So out of 56 total Super Bowls, there's been 64 starting quarterbacks, and there's been 29 winning quarterbacks, and Tom Brady, who is the winningest quarterback in the Super Bowl, it seems to see that this is a very important position. Now, obviously, we know this. They lead the team, they call the plays, they make the changes, they have to handle a lot of pressure. The list goes on. They got to be a leader. Obviously, other positions have importance, but they don't hold the same magnitude and weight of having to carry so much different skill sets as well as pushing the team forward. Now, to get to the Super Bowl itself is a feat on top of even making it to the NFL as a quarterback. Now, I've seen different skills by high-level performers over my career in applied psychology, and what I've noticed is there's certain traits that stand out amongst others. Obviously, it's not limited to 3, but we're going to talk about 3 different traits to build the mindset of a Super Bowl quarterback. Now, those 3 traits we're going to talk about is constancy, cognitive flexibility, and social boldness. Now, these traits can be learned or they can be trained to become better, but at the end of the day, any quarterback that makes it to the big game has these at a higher level. Now, the first one is constancy. Now, this can go by many names. This is also diligence or grit. This is being able to continue going even when things don't go your way. There's gonna be times where you plan something out. You gotta have outcome goals, but the process that lead up to that may change. You might have to go a different direction, and you may have to backtrack or even pivot. Now, someone who's high on constancy, they handle defeat with the mindset of, it's okay, I can come back and do it again. We can use an example of Jalen Hurts, who's actually the quarterback for the Eagles, playing in tonight's Super Bowl. He was on Alabama, considered one of the top teams in the nation almost every year for the last 2 decades. And he was able to lead them to the national championship, and unfortunately did not win, but then he went again, but had to share the spotlight, and they won, and Tua took over, and eventually he would get benched and not be the starter. Now, this is usually the worst thing that could happen to a quarterback who's trying to make it to NFL, but he was able to stay with it. He came back and fought, and even though he still had to split time and end up not starting and then going to another school after he graduated from Alabama, he made it. The plan got changed. He didn't get the outright job, but was able to keep going and push through. He even came back and fought for a spot, even though he didn't win it. And he would even have a moment in the hotel after the championship with his own family to think about, what am I going to do? So this being said, it shows someone who has that kind of mindset, that constancy, can keep going despite the adversity that they face. People talk about mental toughness all the time, and this is one of the sub traits, because being constant means you don't give up easily, and you can't be mentally tough if you quit the minute it doesn't go your way. Now, cognitive flexibility. This is being able to switch and change plans in an ever-changing environment. Things don't always go your way in life. You have to adapt and adjust. You can imagine how this goes in a football game. You can see a linebacker coming up to the line to blitz. He's creeping in, and you got to think, wow, this is run play straight up the middle. If you do this, he's going to stuff it. So you call an audible. Make sure your team hears it. You have to be vocal. You have to remember the audible in the play, and they have to be able to illustrate it and carry it out. So there's a lot going on. You snap the ball, say it's not a blitz, and they drop back into coverage. Now you have to adapt again, because now you may have to keep the ball or just go for a shorter route. But whatever it is, the point of cognitive flexibility is to handle ever-changing situations. Now, this is good because you can actually train this skill from a cognitive process by doing different types of drills that require an if-then statement, meaning if this happens, you do this, and if it doesn't, then you do that. So I do this with my clients sometimes with like a go, no go, and it'll be like a reaction to a light or something of that nature, and red will be go and green won't be go. And it'll switch depending on the cue I give out loud. So this is just an example, but the point is you can build that up because it's rewiring the brain to be able to handle ever-changing decisions under pressure. Now, from the other side of it, from more of a personality and psychological standpoint, cognitive flexibility is if you get hit with information that's not as favorable, and this happened to Jalen Hurts once again using him, he was told he wasn't quite the quarterback specimen, size-wise, arm-wise, he got kind of doubted. He's not small, he doesn't have a bad arm, and the tangibles they wanted, they cared too much, but they look at the intangibles, how he's resilient, be able to switch his focus and stay with something and change how he goes about it. This is a great trait to have as a quarterback, definitely one that gets you to the Super Bowl. Now, the last trait we'll talk about is social boldness. Now, this is a subfacet of extroversion. Usually we talk about extroversion is great for mentally tough people, great for leaders, because an extroverted person is confident in how to carry out social tasks. You can see in a sport, a performance, you have to be extroverted to some degree. Does it mean you're the life of the party? No, but it means you can carry out what you need to do in a strong-minded way. Now, social boldness goes even further to say someone who can be in a leadership role. Now, when he came to Philadelphia, Carson Wentz was a quarterback, and he even won a Super Bowl. But granted, he didn't last because from a leadership standpoint, he didn't really have what it took. Now, Jalen, on the other hand, he did. He showed it at Alabama and even showed it at Oklahoma when he later transferred. So it shows that this skill is important because when you're dictating a group of men who have to follow your lead, play after play after play, this leads to the victory. But if you have someone who can't keep them together, can't lead by example and show what hard work and resilience looks like, you can't go too far. So like I said, getting to the NFL is hard. Carson Wentz, using him, not saying he's a bad quarterback, but the point is getting to a certain level requires a different set of skills, a different mindset. These traits are just a few, but to get to the level, you have to have these traits and have them at a much higher level. And if you don't, it doesn't mean you can't. It just means you have to be more aware of where you fall with these and push yourself to be better at each one. Now, thanks guys for tuning in. If you want to learn more about mental toughness in general, we have our new course, Mastering Mental Toughness. And I'll put the link below so you can check that out because it'll teach you the different skills and different things you can do to not only learn these traits and behaviors, but to practice them in your everyday life to get your mind right. So thanks guys. Let me know in the comments below who you have for tonight's Super Bowl. I'm going to go with the Eagles since I did use Jalen Hurts primarily for this video. So let me know below, and thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys later.